I'm Scott from Gunday YBM, and today we're going to be looking at using present simple sentences. Now we use present simple to talk about facts, habits, and routines. Now before we start making sentences, let's focus on the do verb, which is representative of simple present. Okay? When we conjugate the do verb, it goes like this. Here are our pronouns, and we say I do, you do, he does, third person singular, she does, we do, they do, and it does. Now when we make a sentence, any verb we use will follow this format. For example, I can say, I eat, you eat, he eats, she eats, we eat, they eat, it eats. Same with any other verb. For example, I play, you play, he plays, she plays, we play, they play, and it plays. Now when making a sentence in the present simple, we are going to use this simple format. Subject first, we're going to say when this happens, the verb, the object, and when again. Now let me explain when. When we're using present simple, again we're talking about routines, facts, possible habits. So we're going to use words like this. Always, which is 100%. Usually, often, sometimes, seldom, rarely, and never at 0%. They will come after the subject in the sentence. Now, sometimes it's every, okay, which we can put at the end of the sentence. For example, we can say every day. I do something every week, every month, or even every year. Now let's try to make a sentence. We're going to start with our subject or our pronoun. In this case we'll use I. I always what? I always eat pizza, for example. This is talking about a routine, okay? Another example. He usually watches TV, okay? Now maybe we don't want to use this, maybe we want to talk about every, okay? She, we're not going to use often. She plays badminton every weekend, for example. Now what if the sentence is just a fact, not a routine? Then simply we can just say this. I live in Seoul, for example. We don't say when here because that's just a fact of where I live. He teaches English as a job. She sells shoes as a job. These are just facts, so we don't need to say when or how often these happen. Now let's try making some questions in the present simple. To begin with, here are our question words. What, where, when, and who. And when we make a question, remember, present simple is represented by the do verb. So we're going to ask, what do you usually, our when time expression, do in your free time? What do you usually do in your free time? Okay? Now, the verb we answer with is going to replace this do. For example, I usually play tennis in my free time. Okay? Follow-up question. Where do you usually play tennis? Answer. I usually play tennis at the tennis court. When do you play tennis? And I could answer, I usually play tennis on Saturdays. Okay, here I'm expressing a routine. And one more final question. Who do you play tennis with. Because it's something we do together with somebody, we're going to use the word with, okay? I can answer, I play tennis with my friend. And if you notice, every answer still follows that simple format. Subject, when does it happen? Plus our verb, then our object. Now so far we've been looking at positive sentences, but what about negative sentences? Now when we use a negative sentence, we must use do not. Okay, and this conjugates as don't. Okay, what about he or she? He or she does not, or we can say doesn't. Let's look at some example sentences. The first one says, I don't drink soju. This is stating a routine. He doesn't live in Busan. This sentence states a fact. Now we're going to look at yes or no questions in the present simple. Now the questions we made before, if you remember, used question words such as what, where, when, and who. But now in a yes or no question, we don't use those words. Instead, we're going to start the question with the do verb. Okay? Here's an example. Do you play tennis? This is a yes or no question because the only answer could be yes or no. And I will answer, yes, I do. Another example. Does she live in Busan? And if it's negative, no, she doesn't. For more information and practice, join Gunday YBM's Easy Topics class.